Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Visit Tuscaloosa.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome into the latest edition of Tider Insider TV alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. Well, Alabama football is somewhere that it hasn't been in a while. Number 15 in the AP poll. That's the lowest ranking since 2010. And 2 losses before November for the first time since 2007. Crimson Tide has looked mortal lately. Some might even say mediocre in its last few ball games, including the loss on Saturday to Tennessee. Now, it was the 107th all-time meeting between the Crimson Tide and the Volunteers. Both teams came in, this one desperate and hungry to get back on track and be a factor in the SEC championship hunt and the college football playoff. Jaylen Milton connected with Ryan Williams early in this one to give Alabama a 7-0 lead after Alabama had been down there before and got one intercepted on the same play attempt that cost them an opportunity. Penalties everywhere on both teams. It was kind of a sloppy game, Rodney, but let's give Alabama credit. In the first half defensively, they forced turnovers. They kept Tennessee out of the end zone. But I think the telltale sign was it was 7-0, which you would say, well, we take 7-0 on the road at the half. But Alabama, I felt like, should have had a 2-score, maybe even a 3-score lead in this game.
Yeah, it was really kind of a duplicate copy of what happened at Tennessee and Florida the week before. Again, Tennessee didn't score in the first half. Florida blew opportunities. Even though they had a lead at halftime, they blew some opportunities that really could have put them in a great position. Tennessee made a second-half rally, won the game. And again, very similar in this game. Alabama shut them out in the first half. Tennessee, starts taking over the game in the second half, find a way to win the game 24-17. I'm with you, Gary. I think it's a very disappointing loss because I think Alabama probably should have won this game. I give credit to Tennessee because they did play better down the stretch of the game, but Alabama should have won this game.
Couple of plays I want to ask you about, and we'll get into the penalties too, but Alabama had the lead in the third quarter and was looking to take a 2-score lead. And it was a 4th and 1 or 2 right around the 48-yard line, and they decided to punt. Now, the punt was a good one. It was inside the 10. But Tennessee wound up going, I think, right around, 95 yards, and for a touchdown that really turned the game around. I ask you now, it's always hindsight's easy, but later in the game, you go for it from inside your own 20 with 3 timeouts on a 4th and 22, but you don't go for it from 4th and 2 on the 48 when you've got a lead. Just your thoughts on how those 2 plays played out.
Yeah, first of all, take them individually because I can understand punting the ball down. I think that was a great decision there. Your defense just didn't come up. You put your defense in a position, and Tennessee goes, like you said, 95 yards or whatever. Now, on the other one, had it been 4th and 7, under 10, maybe. 4th and 22, that's extremely low percentage, right? I know they converted 4th and 31 last year, but still, very, very low percentage. So probably, again, your defense, I mentioned it earlier, Gary, but I thought the defense played really, really well. If you punt the ball there, you've got 3 timeouts, right? You've got an opportunity to get the ball back. Again, that's all hindsight.
All right. It was 4th and 22 because on the play before, Kendrick Law, a ball was behind him. He got pushed a little bit, and then there's no doubt the Tennessee defensive back taunted him right in his face. But he reached out, and he kind of slapped the face mask. And even though the Tennessee player did respond with a push himself, he got flagged for a 15-yard penalty. So you go from, I guess, what would have been a 4th and 7 to a 4th and 22. I understand his frustration. I think he is a good player. I think he's a really fine young man. But in that situation, you just can't lose your cool, and that's starting to become a trademark of this football team.
Yeah, it looks like a little frustration starting to brew, definitely. I thought there should have been offsetting penalties. Tennessee guy should have been flagged, too, because, like you said, he was taunting initially. If you're going to call a penalty right there, you call it on taunting. If you're going to call it on one or the other, again, I understand that. So it probably should have been offsetting penalties right there, but it wasn't. Goes back to what you said, though, Gary. It really doesn't matter what it should have been. You can't lose your composure there. You just can't do it.
All right, another thing in this game. Alabama ran the ball at times, but Tennessee ran it consistently. Now, we know Sampson coming in. Dylan Sampson had been running well. He had 139 yards on 26 carries and 2 touchdowns. when the other team outruns you in these big games, and we're looking at some penalty video, but Sampson's ability to run the football and Alabama really not consistently being able to run it.
Yeah, I think, Gary, when you look at it, the discrepancy there, 214 yards, I think it was rushing for Tennessee. Alabama had 75. But in the first half, it was really good. I mean, it was Alabama's run defense did a really good, nice job in the first half. They got gashed in the second half. And, I mean, we've talked about this since very early in the season. I've been really concerned about that run defense and did a great job in the first half. We were feeling good about it. And then Tennessee takes over the line of scrimmage in the second half.
All right, we were looking at penalty video, 15 for 115 yards. 2 years ago, they had 17. Listen, this is a problem. Alabama's gotten more penalties than any team in the Southeastern Conference. Again, this isn't new. This has been going on for a few years. I do think there's some reverse Alabama bias here in regards to, Alabama used to be supposedly getting all the calls. But still, 15 for 115 on the road in a game like this, you're not going to win. If that's 7 or 8 penalties for 65 yards you win, that's just hard to overcome with the other mistakes that they made.
It really is. Now, I want to say something about that run defense again. It was bigger plays that they gave up here. It wasn't the 6 and 7 and 8 yard runs. It was the bigger plays. So I want to be clear on that. That's what hurt them.
Well, that didn't look like interference right there.
And then Jahad Campbell grabs the receiver there. But at the same time, you talk about the penalties. Yes, that has been something, and people are talking about that. But this goes back. We could go back to Texas A&M in 2021, or we could go back to Texas in 2022 when they had 15 penalties there in Austin. How about Tennessee a couple of years ago? They had, 17 penalties. Last year at Texas A&M, they had 14. I mean, this is something it's been trending. It sure has.
And you need to get it under control. Yep. It's hurting. All right, we saw Alabama penalties. I want to get to Ryan Williams and his targets, but there was a big play in the game when Ryan Williams had beat the corner down the sideline. I thought it was Jaylen Milton's best throw of the day. It was wrong. He got held for about 5 or 6 yards. He still got a hand on the ball. Yeah. That gets missed somehow.
How?
That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't. I mean, you got the best wide receiver on your team. You've got him right now. You would think an official would be locked in on that. That got missed. So I ask you this: did you think the officiating? Did you think the game was poorly officiated?
I've seen worse. We saw worse 2 years ago.
Yeah, we did, for sure.
I think we really did. Now, again, you missed that call. I guess it can happen. That was a big call right there.
It was huge.
That could have been the difference in the game.
It was huge. All right. Ryan Williams, great player. I mean, we know he should still be in high school. He's 17 years old. But 20 targets, is that Milroe's fault that he's locking in on Ryan Williams too much? Is it the game plan? What's going on when one wide receiver gets 20 targets and the other guys, don't get very many?
Yeah, and this isn't you. I'm not saying this to you.
Yeah.
But last week, all I heard was from a lot of different people, well, you didn't get the ball to Ryan Williams enough, right?
Yeah.
And now this week it's you. Yeah. You're targeting him too much. So, again, do I think they could probably, and I say do I think Milroe could maybe hopefully do a better job of spreading the ball around, getting it to other guys? He's got Bernard. He uses him a lot. We've seen the tight ends more. I don't think we saw him as much in this game. Yeah, I would really like to see them kind of spread the ball around a little bit more than what they have. But you definitely have to get the ball in the hands of Ryan Williams.
And lastly, even after the personal foul on Kendrick Law and the turnover on downs, the defense did hold Tennessee to a field goal. So it's still a 7-point game. You've still got 3 timeouts. First play out of the kickoff, I don't think you had your timeouts left, but you had the football. Yeah. And Jaylen Milroe throws an interception. And that kind of just summed up the day.
Yeah, Jaylen Milroe did not have his best day. Let's just be clear. We know that. I mean, he was 25 of 45. I really don't think when you look at 27 passes in the first half, I don't know how it got that way. Get back to let's run the football, get these backs involved, Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, and then build around that and go from there. But it is what it is. He made some really nice throws. Let's be clear. He made some really nice throws. But it wasn't his best game. And Gary, as you really look at it, if you have to break it down, he's gradually gone backwards since the Georgia game.
24-17 the final, and I want to be clear on this. Alabama had no timeouts left, but they used them up when Tennessee got over on downs, but they held them to a field goal. And I want to think there was still like a minute 50 left in the game when Alabama got it back somewhere in there, Rodney. I mean, they had time. And then, unfortunately, you don't even really get a chance to go down the field. First play, you throw an interception. Ball game is over. All right, it's time now for Coach Talk. The penalty issues against Tennessee hurt throughout the game, including having a huge impact at the end, as we mentioned, on that personal foul penalty against wide receiver Kendrick Law with under 2 minutes left, turned a 4th and 7 into a 4th and 22. Although Law drew the flag, Coach Kalen DeBoer said he has a message for the entire locker room: don't take the bait when other teams hit first.
You know, I think just everything in general, it starts with our thoughts. We got to make sure other people's thoughts don't become ours, and we got to make sure that, you know, if someone's talking to us, we gotta learn to walk the other way, and you know, be a more emotionally disciplined in every facet, not just the high aggression type things, but also just when, you know, the momentum swings and things like that happen in a game, be able to trust in your preparation, trust in what you're doing. But yeah, we got to be better. We got to be better there now.
Got to be better in a lot of areas. Well, still to come on Tider Insider Television, Alabama football will return to Tuscaloosa this Saturday for a high-stakes matchup against Missouri. It's homecoming. Also, Alabama gained an impressive commitment today, a flip from another team on a tight end. We'll have that for you. And coming up in just a little bit, we'll be welcoming your phone calls. And I know we're on to, you know, a limited audience still, but there's the phone number, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. You can email us at the address on your screen. Even can tweet at us. We'll be checking that. Stu and Sam will be checking for those tweets as well. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide and has been for nearly 25 years. Tider Insider TV will return right after this break. We're back on TITV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. He's Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris, and I bet you know who you are. Well, as poorly as Alabama played the past 3 weeks, they still have a good opportunity for the college football playoff. Now, no margin for error, but you can still get there. They can beat anybody they play. It starts this week with 21st-ranked Missouri at Saban Field inside Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday. It's homecoming. Alabama, Rodney, taking on a Missouri team that only has one loss as well. But that one loss, they got blown out at A&M. They won over Vanderbilt in double overtime, and they trailed late against Auburn. But the key here was Brady Cook went down early, went to the hospital. How about this one?
That's amazing.
They would have lost the game. Yeah. They were terrible with that. But he comes back, and you know what? They look great. So with no Brady Cook, they lose to Auburn. But with a healthy Brady Cook the whole game, I think they might have won by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I liked him already, but watching his performance in this game, I was really impressed by him.
Wonder what they did at the hospital.
I don't know. They gave him some magic juice or something. He was great when he came back.
Yeah, he did, Gary. And again, here's the thing. I think Missouri's coming in with a lot of momentum here after this win. Like you said, they're 6-1. They're in a really good position. They have to like where they are. I think Alabama, obviously, coming off the disappointing loss to Tennessee. This is going to be a real gut check for Alabama. There's been a lot of criticism, a lot of things said this week. You know, hopefully the players use that in a positive way. Maybe his motivation, whatever it is. But this Missouri team, they can throw the football. They throw for over 250 yards a game. Gary, they've got a really good run defense as well.
And talking about throwing the football with Cook, Alabama's secondary is beleaguered with injuries.
It is. And good receivers. Theo Weiss, Luther Burden.
Burden's one of the best.
These are really top receivers. They've got 2 really good backs. And again, Brady Cook kind of stirs it all together with his arm, the way he can throw, and the leadership that he has. And like I said, I think they're really good defensively. They give up 273 yards a game, I think it is. So only, 15 points a game defensively that they give up.
Yeah.
So it's good defense.
Every one of Alabama's 4 SEC football games have come down to the end. They've won 2, they've lost 2. There's no reason to believe that this one won't as well. We'll have our predictions coming up a little bit later on. All right, recruiting speculation for weeks has been that Marshall Pritchett of Raven Gap, Georgia, was on the verge of flipping his commitment from North Carolina to Alabama. 6'5", 211, athletic. He is the type of tight end that they're looking for in this offense. Can really run and is a very fluid pass receiver. Probably needs to put on a little weight. Last year, 44 catches for 621 yards. He is the 23rd commitment for the class of 25. Rodney, tell us what you know about him.
You know, when you look at him just physically, he kind of reminds you of Caleb Odom last year.
He sure does.
Has a height and has a range. He's very athletic, as you said, Gary. And the thing I like about him is not only does he have all those tools, but his dad, Wes Pritchett, was the leading tackler for Notre Dame's team under Lou Holtz, 1988. They won the national championship. I remember when he came out of high school.
Very well.
Followed him when he was being recruited.
Good player.
But so he's got the bloodlines. He's been around football. He's a great understanding of it. I think some people have him at 3-star, some 4-star. I think he's definitely a real talent.
All right, and Alabama already has another tight end commitment as well, Caleb Edwards, but that's fine because they like to use tight ends in this offense. Bama basketball, it was only a charity exhibition over at Boutwell Auditorium this past Friday night against a good Wake Forest team, but Bama looked every bit the part of the top 5 team. 98-77 over Wake. despite the fact that Grant Nelson, Aiden Sherrill, Latrell Wrightsell, and Chris Youngblood didn't even dress for the game. But they got 20 points from Aiden Holloway, the Auburn transfer. Sears did his thing. Alabama had 6 players in double figures. Rodney, listen, they're going to play their final preseason game this coming Monday night against Memphis up at Von Braun Center in Huntsville. And then they're going to be playing for real. Just one game, but you could see the talent here. They got players everywhere.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I think, Gary, you know, obviously it's just a start. It's just an exhibition game, but we knew the roster was loaded. But to see so many guys, Filan, Holloway, performing at such a high level, shooting the ball extremely well. You're going to have ups and downs. And what about Cliff Amore? You can already tell about the difference he's going to make.
And you got 4 guys sitting over there on the bench. They're going to be coming back as well. All right, still to come on TITV, Alabama volleyball picked up another SEC win last week, and it wasn't just any win. We'll explain. And up next, your phone calls, emails, and tweets. And the phone number again, if you're able to watch us tonight, 205-348-9882. I understand we already got a phone call. We'll be back with you, our Tighter Insider Nation, next here on TITV. Alabama volleyball had a huge win last week as it was over Auburn. Also, Auburn was ranked, and it became Alabama's first win over a ranked opponent in 8 years. They took the Tigers down, winning that 5th set, 16-14, to win the match 3-2. A really big win. They did lose to Kentucky on Sunday, but Kentucky's a great team. But this Alabama volleyball team making some progress, and that is great news. All right, welcome back into TITV with Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. Let's jump out on the phone lines, and Johnny over in Bessemer is going to lead us off tonight. Hey, Johnny.
Gary, what's going on, man?
Hey, brother. Been a while.
Hey, man. I've been sick, man. I had bronchitis.
Oh, no.
I've been watching the ball game. What's going on down there, man? Alabama let Georgia, almost let Georgia come back. Penalties killed them. And Tennessee beat them. Vanderbilt beat them. What's going on?
Yeah. You know, it's 4 SEC games. You know what? Alabama could be 4-0 in the SEC. They could be 0-4. So 2-2 is probably about right. Alabama's a good team. I still believe that. I might have, with the transition, all that's going on, the players in the portal, I might have overestimated Alabama a little bit. Hey, listen, 5-2 overall, 2-2 in the league is a lot better than some other teams. So it's still a chance to get to the playoff. They're going to have to improve and play better, like we talked about, cut down the penalties. I think they're going to have to run the football a little bit better. Jaylen's going to have to play better, but I think they're capable of beating everybody that's left on the schedule.
They are. You know, the first year in that transition, it's always really tough, Gary. Always really tough.
All right. Thanks for the phone call. We are going to go ahead and get to our break, and when we come back, we're going to have our email question of the day, and we'll take some more phone calls, too, if you want to give us a ring, 205-348-9882. TITV will continue right after this. How about some Bama in the NFL? Could be an entire 30-minute show on its own. There's Jahmyr Gibbs, man. What a game he had against the Vikings in a battle for first place in the NFC North. Also, Will Reichard in that game, 3 for 3 from field goals, including a 57-yarder. He has not missed a kick all year for the Vikings. There's Amari Cooper, first game with the Bills. Ho-hum, all he does is catch a touchdown pass. 5 catches for 66 yards. Josh Jacobs, how about, well, there's Henry. But Josh Jacobs also, we got to Henry pretty quick. Josh Jacobs also had the first touchdown catch of his career, believe that or not. He had a bunch of rushing touchdowns. Henry, though, is just killing people, 169 yards on just 15 carries, including an 81-yarder. Here's Josh Jacobs coming up here. All the catches that he had, this was his first touchdown. Also, Tua is practicing this week, so he should be coming back soon. All right, let's get to our email question of the day. It's presented by KDM Service Corporation, serving your family like our family. Here we go, Rod, our email question of the day. Stephen Tuscaloosa, at what point are the officials held responsible for bad calls? Technically, they are. The problem is the SEC just doesn't really release much information on that. I know I have talked to, well, say too much here, but there's a lot of concern about the officiating among the coaches in this league.
Yeah, I think it is, Gary, and I would second you on that. I mean, I've talked to people as well, and they say it's, frankly, as bad of officiating as it is in the country.
But they are graded every week, and problem is I just never see any officials, unless they leave on their own, I don't see any of them getting reprimanded or suspended or anything. All right. All right, let's get to our Twitter question. So we've got time for a Twitter question from what I'm told. From Goal Line Stand. And Should Bama consider emphasizing clock management when calling plays on offense? I think they do. Rodney, real quickly, because now they're coming to a break.
I don't know what exactly he's referring to, but say this. When you're in that environment they were in, Gary, it makes things tough.
It does. All right, we're going to come back with predictions on Alabama and Missouri. What do we think about the game? We'll tell you next. And I love this story because I really like Barrett Jones a lot. He has been selected to represent the University of Alabama as part of the SEC Football Legends Class of 2024, one of 16 former stars, one from each school, that will be recognized at the SEC Championship game this December. All he was a three-time All-American, two-time first-team All-American. Rodney, one of the rare players, he won the Outland Award in 2011 and the Remington Award for the top center in 2012.
Amazing, yeah.
Incredible football
What a
player.
career.
Great guy. Congratulations to Barrett Jones. All right, it's prediction time. Alabama and Missouri homecoming for the Crimson Tide on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. Rodney, you lead us off.
You know, Gary, Alabama, this is a real gut check for them. We talked about that. I've got it Alabama 27-24. I'm going to give it to them this time, Gary, but I'm getting close to going in the other direction.
Well, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction of you. Hear me out here a minute before we take the pick. I just, and this is probably not for any other reason than I just think Alabama's due. That first half of the Georgia game, or really particularly the first quarter, it happened. Alabama was that good against what I think is the best team in the country. So I know it's in them to play well. And there's not a bigger game in the season right now than this one. I got Alabama. Now, listen, I think it's going to be a slow roll to get to this point, but I think they're going to pull away and win this game. I got it 38-23. That's probably wishful thinking to some degree, but I just feel like they're due a good performance.
Well, how many times have we seen it through the years when Alabama's kind of getting counted out?
Yeah,
they respond with a great game.
We will see. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Tider Insider TV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Don't forget, you can catch a replay tonight at 10:30 or find it anytime at WVUA23.com. We're going to leave you tonight with some awesome video of the Alabama basketball team's visit to Children's Hospital of Alabama over in Birmingham. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.